Welcome to the client product tour of Tender. We will find the navigation menu on the left. Depending if we are a client or a supplier, we can select the different modes in the top right corner, which will change how the application works. We created a demo for each mode. To start things off, we can create our client. Simply enter the details of our company and we will be redirected to our tender overview. As this is a fresh client, we need to create a tender first. After naming our tender, we could copy every configuration from a previous tender, but as this is our first tender, we move on to selecting a default currency. This is useful for global tenders where offers might be given in different currencies, and we want to calculate with a default currency such as euros. We pick the amount of rounds and we select the time schedule. Notice how we are restricted from selecting incorrect values. Tender will always make sure that mistakes don't happen. We can optionally have additional information and use the open market feature where we can make our tender available for suppliers we have not known before. We pay only for what we use. The invoice amount will be dynamically calculated based on how many rounds, suppliers, documents, and rows we have. After paying the invoice, our tender will be available in the tender overview. Here, we will see the summary of our tenders, the name, the additional information, which we can edit, the status, if the configuration is finished or not, the activity timeline, the time schedule for our rounds, and much more. Before we start to configure our tender, we might have documents such as non-disclosure agreement or other requirements that we need to share. Let's upload our NDA, which will need a signature from our suppliers, and our requirements, which hold some information. Under Settings, we will find some client and some tender-related options, such as user management, billing address, invoice history, tender upgrade, and calculator. Let's add our colleague in user management and make him an admin. Now we can go back to our tender overview and finish the configuration for our tender. We will find our main information on the left, such as name, default currency, or the time schedule. We can flag the two documents as relevant, so the suppliers will have access to them within this tender. Let's add our colleague who will be helping us during this tender. Now we need to add our suppliers. Each supplier will have a group number. Each group can hold multiple users. Let's add two users to the same group by checking the option and selecting the group number. The other two suppliers will just have a single user per group. Suppliers will be able to invite further team members into their group. We can change group, send email, remove. We can maintain a group name and the quality if advanced use cases are necessary under group settings. Let's make our tender available for the open market by giving a few additional information to new potential suppliers. Under Sample File Upload, we can import an existing price sheet from Excel. In this example, the columns start in the middle of the price sheet and holds different data types. Tender will automatically determine the columns, the values, the data types, and everything else. Under Header Configuration, we can add, rename, and delete columns. Based on the Excel import, we already have the headers available, so we select the field by, which indicates who should fill in the values. Let's change the supplier columns to data type price, which is a combination of number plus currency dropdown. This is where the suppliers will make their offers. Let's set our confidential column as private, which allows us to analyze specific internal data without allowing our suppliers to see this information. Optional columns, such as the supplier comment, should not be required as Tender uses this setting to determine if the offer is completed. A required column needs to hold a value. Additional settings are available under the Optional section. For the basic analysis, let's select our currently contracted price and quantity columns. Under Values configuration, we can add, delete, and fill in the client values. For advanced analysis, we can select which suppliers are currently contracted for that entry. As the configuration is finished, we can open our tender so suppliers can confirm their participation and give offers as soon as round 1 starts. Let's switch over to the client demo. In the overview page, we have 4 tenders in different states, which are payment pending, closed, open, and finished. We will look at the cardboard packaging, which has the second round currently open for offers, and the ocean freight example, which is finished already. If we open up the details for cardboard packaging, which has 4 suppliers participating, we will see that the second round is currently open and we cannot access the dashboard data for compliance reasons. We can see that 2 suppliers did not upload the signed NDA document yet. 2 suppliers have done it, one we already confirmed, and there is one that we need to confirm. We can only confirm it if we download it at least once, as Tender makes sure that we check the document before we confirm it. We have quick access to the suppliers, and communication is possible through the Comments tab. Let's switch to the already finished round 1 in the dashboard. Section 1 shows the timeline. The Overview section holds the supplier and the document state, the entries offered per supplier, and the ranking based on the total price. In this example, OfferKing is the best ranked supplier. The Best Offer section shows only the entries with the best offer, overall, and per supplier. In contrast, the next section shows all of the offers. As we are looking at data for round 1, the previous round and nomination sections are not available here. Let's deep dive into the data, where we will find a rich data table that allows for sorting, filtering, auto-resizing columns, pinning columns, reordering, or hiding them. We can group by and aggregate on any column or use the pivot function. By selecting a range inside the table, aggregated values will be displayed here. We can create charts of any type or save our current table setup, which we can load whenever needed. We can even go into Zen mode to have complete focus on the data analysis. Let's change to our ocean freight tender to see the full capabilities of Tender. As this is a finished tender, we can see the previous round and the nomination section. Tender will show us the changes compared to the previous round by highlighting the cells in yellow, and the tooltip will also show what changed. We have countless columns that are calculated by Tender, which we can use for analysis. Some basic, like the offer existing or offer completed, to indicate if the offer is fully given. We will also find default currency for price columns, total price, ranking, comparison to current prices and previous rounds, and many advanced columns, which are by default hidden, but we can always enable them on the right side panel. On the Nomination tab, we can see all nominated entries. This is where we can finish our tender or reopen it as it is already a finished tender. We can also send nomination emails to our suppliers. As we can see, Tender brings offer analysis to the next level. The main dashboard shows all activities within the client. The small counter indicates how many tasks or to-do items we have. We can see the timeline of our tenders, which signed documents require confirmation, the tenders that need to be configured, and the open market requests. To quickly see what communication took place in the last 24 hours, we have this table at the bottom. As we can see, creating and managing our tender process with Tender is easy and efficient. Tender helps us with transparency, compliance, data quality, handling of suppliers and documents, while giving us the full power of making the correct decisions for nominating suppliers. It gives us all the tools we need to analyze our tenders in detail and to keep track of our tasks and milestones. So, what are you waiting for? Start using Tender today.